So let's look at the different types of buyer enablement tool that you can build on the platform, because it's quite varied and it will depend on your specific buyer requirements and the product or platform that you're selling. The first, which is the most common, is a calculator. We're going to ask the buyer to input some numbers, and then based on that, we're going to throw out a number that helps them to understand their current state or the potential future state. And I say this is the most common because so many organizations gravitate straight towards an ROI calculator. If we can just get our buyer to put some numbers in, then we can show them that we can add 2 billion to their revenues in the next year. It's an easy tool to create. It has very low credibility with the buyer themselves because they know that the mathematics has been created to skew in the favor of the buyer. So bear that, take that with a pinch of salt. But there are other forms of calculator that you could create, which is less about giving a return on investment, but maybe just helping them to understand the current state, maybe the cost of an integration, maybe the cost of the people that they've got today. Maybe there is something that helps them to understand and identify the problem that they are facing. The next is called a connector. Now, when you're selling into enterprise or strategic accounts, you'll be familiar with the fact that you probably know your way around their organization in some ways better than they do. You are speaking with people in other divisions, other teams that are either further along or behind in their own buying process with your organization. And so the ability to provide them with a tool that connects them with other stakeholders in other functions or other roles that are going to bring them together and help them to align on what they want to do can be truly valuable to them. And you can give them something that they would find very difficult to achieve themselves. So with these kinds of tools, we think about aggregated reports or maybe a 360 assessment, whereby you send your tool to one person and they then invite other people, or you invite them on their behalf. And then the tool is going to bring back this summary of other people's responses and give them a view about their own organization that they would just find very difficult to achieve on their own. The next is an advisor. And this really helps the buyer to guide them through their own buying process. Now, you sell this product, this platform, this service regularly. You know what needs to happen. You know the stages, and you know how long it typically takes to go from one to another. You also know what typically slows down or delays or causes a cancellation of a project. But for your buyer, this is the first time they've been through this process. And so they're looking for that advice on what they should be aware of, who they should be involving, what kind of checklists and guides they should be following. And so based on your tool, you can provide them with some inputs for them to provide, and then give them some guidance on what a typical buying process might look like, and then help them align that with their own timescales. The next is a simulator. Now, a simulator is more than a demo, but it's probably less than a freemium access to the actual product. It's somewhere in the middle there. So you're providing your buyer with a limited access to the tool where they can input some of their own information, their data, their people, their roles, and it's going to give them a view of what their data, their circumstance would look like if they were to use their tool. Now, this is a bit more of a web or product development approach, not something that we could build in the buyer enablement platform, but it's very well worth giving some thought to, because this really helps your buyer to understand, okay, if we were going to go down this direction, what might this look or feel like? The next is a diagnostic tool, and this is classic consulting. A health check or a maturity assessment would be good examples. Here we're going to ask the buyer for a series of answers to questions, and based on their responses, we're then going to provide some output. Now, I imagine you bottling up your best solution architect and imagining the questions that they ask when they are put in front of a customer. What's your current state? What are the things holding you back? Where are your budgets? What integrations have you got planned? What upcoming projects have you got? And based on that, your solution architect would provide them with some advice and guidance. And this is what we can provide through a diagnostic buyer enablement tool. The next is a recommender. This is linked to a diagnostic in some way, but it is going to help to prioritize some options for your customer and give them some guidance on what to do next. So imagine that we ask the buyer for a bit of information about their current architecture. Are they using a certain cloud platform, or is it on-premise? Are they multi-region or one region? Are they in the US or EMEA? Based on that, we would then give them a recommended shortlist of potential products or solutions or next steps to take. So think of this as like a flow chart or a process flow that is going to route them down and give them a short list of options out of a longer list that you could potentially provide them. And then the final type of tool that we can provide to them is a benchmark. How does this company compare with their peers and the wider market? And this is something that buyers absolutely love. Everyone wants to know, what's everyone else doing and how do we compare? Are we ahead? Are we behind? What should we be thinking about? Because you're going to be running your buyer enablement platform across a large number of buyers, you're going to receive aggregated results across that. And that means that as every new person takes that assessment, you can benchmark them against their industry, against their customer size, and provide them with some very personalized results. So there you go, 7 different types of buyer enablement tool, 6 of which we can create in the buyer enablement platform for you.